Hello, my name is Alana Davis, and I am a sophomore at the University of West Georgia. This is my diversity YouTube video. I interviewed with 4 people from different backgrounds and lifestyles. I spoke with a man who is disabled and in a wheelchair, and I also spoke with people who are a part of the LGBTQ+ community, neither of which I have experienced personally. First, I spoke with Damon Smith. Damon was in a wheelchair and came over to me, and he seemed so happy and excited. He was incredibly joyful, personable, and very excited to share his story. He did not let his disability keep him down or change his attitude. He was incredibly interesting to speak with. He completely dismissed that people make a judgment based on his condition and his looks. He is in a wheelchair, but he's more joyful than most people that I know who are not. Spoke with him for a long time, and I learned a lot about him and how he views his own life. When he first came over to me, my initial thoughts was that he may want to talk about how he's held back more than others because of his disability or the challenges that he faces every day. Instead, he chose to tell me all about how he is thankful for his life he has. He did not view himself as underprivileged or unlucky. I gained a new perspective from Mr. Damon. He said to me, "I live every day grateful for what I can do, not what I can't do." I realized that so many of us complain and take our very good lives for granted. Damon has gone through so many challenges, lots of people, including me, never have to. He can't just get up and walk to go do what he wants. We have learned about privileges and stereotypes in this course, and I think that this case touches both of those categories. Most people would assume Damon is underprivileged, and that in and of itself is a stereotype about people who are disabled. There is a stereotype that people with disabilities cannot do a lot of things, but Damon only talked about what he could do. Damon does not fit this stereotype people place on him. He does all of his life on his own. Stereotypes are sometimes not recognized, even when we play into them ourselves. This experience gave me some insight on how we should view people and not judge them. When teaching students, we need to be aware of stereotypes that are in place and recognize how we can counter them and make students comfortable in the classroom and in their own skin. For my second observation, I went to Highway 5 emissions, which is somewhere I go pretty often, and it has a variety of people from different backgrounds. I get to talk to people who are different than me in every aspect and learn things about them and their lives. I spoke with 3 individuals who are a part of the LGBTQ+ community. First, I spoke to Amelia. She knew that she was a lesbian at 13 years old. She didn't know anyone in her grade or her school or her community that was going through the same thing that she was. She was scared to tell anyone because of what people may say. She didn't tell anyone for 4 years. She decided to come out at the age of 17 and faced bullying and many challenges. Something I found interesting as an education major was that she said her teachers did not help her through the bullying and dismissed her identity. This is something we need to focus on. As teachers, we need to take the fact that every student is different into consideration. No matter what background, condition, or sexual orientation students come from, they all need to be treated equally and with respect. Secondly, I spoke with Andrea, a transgender woman who has been through so much but was so joyful. She still gets criticism every day of her life. People question her identity, make fun of her, stare at her, and she gets brutally honest questions. She seemed to not let it bother her. She was confident in herself and did not care what people said or thought about her. She said she knew who she was, and that's all that mattered. This made me realize how important acceptance and positive affirmation is for people and students. If students can feel safe in their environment and confident, then they can grow to be like Andrea in the real world. We can be accepting and respect students' identity to help them feel comfortable. If we can start early and make them comfortable within themselves, they'll be confident for the rest of their lives. Lastly, I spoke with a gentleman who is in his 60s. He's gay. I found this interview very interesting, maybe the most interesting out of all of them, because he has seen society change around this topic in his lifetime. He told me about how he could not come out when he was younger because of the judgment and lack of support. His parents wouldn't understand, his family wouldn't understand, his friends wouldn't understand, nobody would get it. He wanted to date a classmate in his college in his early 20s, but he felt he could not. He lived as a single man until he was 55 years old because of this. This man lived unhappy and alone almost all of his life so far because of the judgment of others. As a teacher, this should show us how to treat others, especially students, because it really matters. It does not matter if we agree with students' choices or not. Respect should be given. If we can give students security as young people, they will not have to live their lives like this gentleman did for so long. He wanted to date a classmate and felt unprotected and unsafe, so he couldn't. Overall, this observation project taught me a lot. I'm a straight, white Christian female who was raised in a southern town. I've never dealt with struggles like these people have. I've had my own struggles. I never fit in. I dealt with depression most of my teenage years. I juggled being a mother, full-time student, and employee. But hearing these people's stories made me realize that we're never alone in our struggles and that so many people deal with so many different challenges every day. I've gone through a lot, but I've not been criticized for my identity like these people have. As teachers, we need to provide healthy and safe environments for our students so that they can live their lives as themselves. Recognizing people's personal struggles is important as teachers. Students start their journey through social interaction with us in our classrooms. We can provide a place of comfort and discovery for students every day.